What is up, guys? How's it going? I'm going to go through the full process here of building the Tech Hubble brand from beginning to the end. If you want to see a polished final presentation case study, you can just quickly go to my website. But if you want to see the full behind the scenes process from the beginning to the end, the work in progress files, the denied concepts, the lost offcut designs, the behind the side like proposals sent, everything, stick around for this process. Stick around for this video. I'm going to go through the entire process through all the phases, which is the strategy, the back and forth arguments, the discussions, the collaboration we had. We're going to go through the identity phase, so the colors, typography, then we're going to go through the logo, and then we're going to go through the guidelines, and then finally the assets. So stick around and I'll show you how. So this was the initial brand, Tech Hubble. You can see the logo there. This was their landing page. You can see lack of colors, lack of brand strategy. And we ended up with this. This is just the landing page, but you get an idea of where we took the brand, right? So like I said, this is not going to be, I haven't prepared a Google Sheet or Google Doc. It's literally all the open files. I'm going to pull and show you the sketches, the process and everything, right? So having said that, let's get straight into it. So this is where we normally start the project. I want to give you context. This was the original, I don't want to even say the original brand. I just want to say this is the original landing page. You can have a look at, the logo here. It was just, I think he did it himself. This guy, Jaden, he did it himself. So there wasn't much design quality behind it, nor was there strategy. So you can see a lack of direction or identity as you go throughout the website. I mean, it's just, I don't want to, the web design is poor, but the actual brand, there was completely, if you have a look here, absolutely no identity. Like, just, this looks like a textbook, right? There's no visual hierarchy, there's no graphic element, no like graphic toolbox to use, no colors. There's, this typography is exactly the same throughout. We've got stock images. There's nothing really as the brand can use graphically, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. If we go to the brand strategy, mainly he was just pushing like features, yeah. So there wasn't much of a story. There wasn't much of a, like a clear direction in terms of who we're speaking to, what are we trying to say, what is our brand archetype, how do we sound, how do we position in the market, etc. So this is how it turned out, but I want to actually hide this and show you from the beginning, right? So this is where the project starts. It's a big overview and a whiteboard, messy, creative space where we do on the fig jam, but it's got some sort of order to it. And this was about 2 to 3 months ago. So whenever you see this, the process has got a lot more refined, cleaner. But this is what it was at this point. So, yeah, the first stage is obviously an audit, discovery, but that's kind of before we even work together. But once we start, we do brand strategy. So that's basically before we do the identity and the logo, where the logo is, we're trying to convey a particular message through the logo. But before that, we need to understand, what is that message? What is our brand? Who are we speaking to? What are we trying to say? How do we look? All of this stuff we need to figure out. So here was the audit I did. This was just very, very surface level. So let me go show you here. This is the brand strategy that we did together. We're basically trying to find the purpose, the positioning, and the persona. And this is more of a collaboration space, but where we chatted together and we figured out this is actually empty, but we used a different one, just face to face. What I do is, that's just me, like the workshop is me just facilitating his thoughts. We basically I try uncover as much as I can that's going through his head, and then I share some of my ideas, and then just so I can understand exactly where he wants to take it, right? So let me get my face out the way here. The first section is like I said, this is not going to be by no means a clean document for you, but if you have a look, it's going to be everything behind the scenes. So brand strategy, I pull up, this is the neat version of basically I just showed you here, into a nice document that I sent to him. So this was, our why. So if you've seen some of my other content, I split the brand strategy up into 3 pillars, and then followed by those 3 pillars is another 3 things. Hence my agency is called 3x3 Studios, right? So the first section is purpose. where this is actually, it's called purpose, and then so there's only three, but vision, purpose, mission, and values. We try to figure out basically the substance behind the brand, like the DNA. What are we about? What are we trying to say? What's our strengths? All of that. So who are we helping? What are we solving for them? Their emotions, their overall life, their values. So if I could just summarize this for you, the initial problem was, if you go here, he wanted, so now's a good time for me to explain what Tech Hub does, right? Tech Hub, they're a growing hub of technology professionals where they want to connect like-minded business professionals and leading industry leaders, and that more often than not, is C-level. If you look here, C-level execs, business owners, business leaders, top-end, high-end professional technology professionals, right? So that was the problem, where the brand wasn't exactly resonating, connecting with those high-end people, just because it didn't look very premium and the messaging wasn't targeted at that target market. So that was one of the main problems. Another way that I can show you some of this case study is actually on our website, but just to show you who we're working with here, this is Jaden. He's the owner, founder, and CEO. Obviously, this is the new updated brand, which I didn't want to show you, but just so you can get an idea of who this guy is and what the business is. Just so you know everything's real. But yeah, Tech Hub is a community hub tailored for the needs of technology professionals specializing in retail. So basically, it's done for you networking for higher level people. So it's more private, and it's more curated and catered for people. So if you say, you do, I don't know, CMO, you do marketing or ad creative agency, and he basically looks in his network, which is, I don't want to show you the final identity, but if you go to his website, he's got loads of people that he can connect you with. So he'll look at e-commerce, employee engagement, reviews, payments, and you basically just say, I'm looking for this so-and-so, and he'll plug you with a certain person. He'll set you up and say, hey, why don't you meet John from so-and-so, meet Sarah from ASOS, or whatever, right? So that's the general concept. I just want to follow along on the actual real case study. So yeah, I'll send this. I'll keep this in the links below. This is the final polished version, but what I'm going to do is go through the behind the scenes, right? So that was what we're trying to do, is basically position him to attract and target these premium B2B guys. So that also involves him being able to charge more. We basically wanted him to position as the best. So we want him to be known as networking for the elite people, the premium, top of the range execs and businesses, not just B2C, not just creative people, but more business owners and more high level stuff. So that was basically what all the strategy is, where it's the vision, where do you want to be in 5 years, what impact does it have on the industry, what outcomes are we committed to delivering in order to achieve that. That is what your mission is. So your mission is, what are you doing currently, what values do you hold close to so that you can achieve your vision, what do we do religiously to achieve our vision, all of this stuff, right? So we basically, this is a little bit more refined, but if you look here, this is what we're trying to figure out, what our positioning is, what do we want to say, how do we want to approach. So this is the next stage in terms of, once we have the brand strategy, we kind of toggle between the brand strategy and the visual identity. But once we have a general direction of that, we map out two different directions. So almost a prototype, you can call it prototype, what that brand would look like, right? So the first direction was this one on the left, and obviously this one on the right. But if you have a look at the difference, on the right is a lot more human-centric, a lot more individual, personal style, a lot more inviting. You see some scribbles, a lot more like people first. Whereas the one on the left is a lot more serious, a lot more cold, a lot more tech, a lot more premium, like authoritative look and feel. So this was the first initial direction we chose. We could choose from. So yeah, like I said, this isn't going to be a short video, so feel free to skip through, or if you want to just see the highlights, polished highlights, go look at the final case demo website. But I'll show you how we got there here. So these are the two directions. I start plotting out some typography, color, to basically try evoke that brand strategy. What's the brand strategy? Is basically you just want to get a glimpse of that brand strategy when you look at it. So that's the brand strategy is everything beneath the surface, and now we're just trying to convey that. So this was some of the rough findings. Initially, we went with this idea of trying to find a balance between this fun people first, because basically networking is people with people. It's everything, me and you connecting. So we didn't want to make it too cold and too serious, but at the same time we wanted to show the quality behind it and still be able to charge a premium. So that was the challenge, trying to meet both of those criteria at the same time. This was the initial direction for logos, and then we arrived at the final mood board or stylescape, which is let me find this, hold on, which is here. So this is our brand personality archetype. You can see we chose the ruler and the sage. So the ruler is it has to be the best of the best of the best. If you look at brands like Mercedes-Benz, Rolls-Royce, Rolex, their core desire is control, power. They have to be known as the expert all the time. And the sage is like more about knowledge. They want to impart wisdom to as many people as they can and share their knowledge with other people. So people like Morgan Freeman, obviously brands like Google, BBC. So this is the final mood board, which is great for us to map out in the beginning. Sometimes when in the earlier phase, we'll have 2 mood boards, just so we can start refining which direction we're going in. So this was the final direction. Obviously, you can see inspiration from McKinsey, British Airways, very authoritative firm. Basically want to be known as the best and land those high-end premium people, right? So here's some more of the messaging. We are XYZ, we are not this. And some more of the messaging, like in terms of tone of voice. You know, we don't want to say you deserve to meet the people that deserve to meet you. That's almost like the innocent archetype. It's a bit too optimistic, serious, but we say empowering the leaders of today. Short, concise, and we use, slightly more higher class, sophisticated wording and language. So that was still the rough in progress. The next phase, so now that we've mapped out our brand strategy. So from hindsight, it's easy to see now, but we understood that our brand strategy was that we wanted to, if you look here, this wasn't finalized at this point, but we wanted to basically position as meeting people, so we needed to be fun, interactive, friendly, understanding, but at the same time position as premium, so we can charge a high premium, right? So that was the brand strategy. Okay, next stage is trying to evoke that emotion through our identity, which we did here with a mood board, where we actually need to build that to ourselves, our own identity. So let's get to the fun bit. There was a bunch of other stuff that I want to kind of brush over, but customers, competitors, like obviously we're speaking to C-suite entrepreneurs, some of the other competitors here. But if I go to the actual visual identity, the visual identity is separate to the logo. So we started the visual identity, which is the colors and the typography. You can see here, put together these ideas where we arrived at this serif font, which is beautiful, just because. Let me actually get what I sent to him. So if you have a look, here, so this is the logo, but this is also the visual identity. So this is what I send. It varies from project to project, but obviously the beginning is the brand strategy, and then the visual identity, right? So brand strategy was everything I already mentioned. Who we're speaking to, how do we say it, what are we saying, what are the brand archetypes? So that's our tone of voice, our positioning statement, who we're speaking to, what is the problem, how we're solving it, unlike any other people, right? Then here we go. The visual identity was the mood board I showed you. Visual cues. So this is trying to build up to the logo. What are we looking for what are we trying to say? Global, network, elite, connect, chat, bubble. These are all the points we're looking for. Although this is the logo proposal, so I don't want to go too far and show you the logo, but I want to show you basically the visual identity, which is where I already was. But yeah, so these are the colors and the typography we landed on. You can see the font, which is, I think it was PT Serif, but I think it's very similar to, PT Serif, very similar to the actual font used in Forbes magazine, which is great, just because it's very financy, it's very serious and corporate, but at the same time, when you take it to the thicker weight, it's got this sort of bubbly, rounded shapes, which is obviously similar to the word Hubble and bubble, but it also just brings that sort of friendly, inviting aspect that I mentioned. Then the next was the addition of these graphic elements in terms of these chat bubbles. Obviously, we're connecting people, so it was like, got a guy who can help, free for coffee tomorrow, I must put you in touch with John. Obviously, I don't think Elon Musk is in his network, but you never know. So that was the graphic element. Now just remember, when trying to build a visual identity, we've got like a toolkit, which is color, typography, graphic elements, textures, patterns, photography, logo, and then on top of that, it's messaging. That's how you start to build this brand. So we're trying to basically chip away at this, building this brand along the way. So yeah, we've ruled out, okay, we know our typography and we know our color, right? But then, so this was approved, although down the line you'll see we incorporate a bit more purple and less blue, but this is where we're at, which is a good starting point, right? So then, like I said, it's 4 phases: strategy, visual identity, logo, and then guidelines. So we've done the first 2 here, and I'm going to show you the logo. So I think I'm going to show you the final logo and then show you the behind the scenes. So this is the logo proposal. These are some of the initial ideas. You can see what we're trying to do is show connection, chatting, network, people, and then globe, international, from leaders, etc. Let me actually, you can see a bit more of my face. So we've got here the initial iterations where the problems were it looked too similar to ChatGPT, but the idea of connection was there, and it looked really, it was still kind of bubble, but reminiscent of like bubble and Hubble, where it's got these soft organic curves, right? I think this was actually the second phase, which we were trying to play around with and trying to get that sense of dynamic motion, values and characters we're looking for. We want to be more premium, we want to be high status, we want to position as the only go-to leading platform, allow people to connect around the world and show our class, taste and expertise. So this was the first days. Actually, if you look here, it looked, these were just the rough sketches, but I don't have it here, but the first phase looked too similar, like a ninja star. We used that as a joke. It didn't actually look like a ninja star, but it just didn't capture the feeling. And when it comes to the logo process revisions, it's difficult to put your finger on it, but if the feeling is not there, we've missed the mark, and that's completely fine. We've got to go hit the drawing board, right? So in the case of this project, it's the most revisions I've ever done. Normally, I've actually tweaked the process from here. Normally we get it spot on, but we wanted to show that connection and globe better. And this actually, I must be honest, in hindsight, as a debrief, there was a lack of communication in the beginning, and I wouldn't say poor, but just, lack of communication in terms of we didn't have enough conversations one-to-one to understand where we were both at in terms of building the brand strategy, which I'm completely, don't mind saying that open now. That's the whole point of this, is to show that I've refined the process, right? So if you work now, the process has this in mind where it's a lot clearer. There's more onboarding forms, there's more bulk of the calls and the meetings on the beginning, just so we can refine that strategy. Anyway, so we show the logo. Option 1 was this, you can see it's the globe and the connection and sort of a globe atlas. Here's another option very similar. Here's another option. This one's very nice and dynamic, although if you look subtly, the negative space shows you this idea of 2 linked connections. Just need some more there. So I think this video is going to be a bit longer than I thought, but feel free to stick around if you'd like. So this is normally what you're looking for in a logo. We have to be appropriate, distinct, simple, and versatile, right? So basically appropriate, I mean, it just has to have that feeling, like, does it feel right, yes or no? Distinct means it needs to be different. It's not something we've seen before, so that's a unique identifier of the brand. And it has to be simple. We don't want to basically show what the business does. We just want to use it as a simple mark that we can build a brand on top. Presenting the final logo. This was the second phase, which works pretty well in terms of the connection and the globe. But I'm not going to spend too long on this because this wasn't the final logo. It ended like, it looks a bit too much like a whirl or a swirl, like a washing machine or like a volleyball. It works it's beautiful, like technically sound logo, but it's just not appropriate, which is the whole point of the creative process, is to rule this out. So this was part of the process in terms of building the brand. We knew what we were going for, and this just wasn't it. So this was a bit of a span in the works at the time, because, you know, according to our brand strategy, which we spent most of the time, that was correct, but we hit the drawing board. I actually want to show you now, like way behind the scenes, how we even got to the logo. This might be tailored a bit more for actual designers, so I'm just going to show you everything. This was typography and color exploration, which I do all in Figma now, but now at the time I did a little bit of it in Illustrator, but now I just do the logo in Illustrator. So if you have a look here, this was the logo building process. Playing around with these arrows, like connection, globe, it's just loading, like atlas, you can see all sorts of different directions here. Changing the orientation, changing the weight, this like sort of connected globe. So this is a really deep dive look into the actual creative process, changing the orientation, the angles. This is only like one document I use, and then I basically pick 3 or 4 that I like from here, and then I build another whole document of the exact same process. If you have a look here, that's been refined all over again. So start at the top left, iterate down, iterate across, then vertically down, an idea you like, across, and then down. You can see it from the top level, it looks like everything's the same, but each logo's got a very small tweak, a very small angular change. So it's like this. Should we try outline? Should we try orientation? Should we try it close, thicker? We need more dynamic movement. We need to like refine this corner, rounded corner. We need to make it more match that line. Like it's loads of work that goes behind the scenes. So this was all that we arrived at this logo that we eventually didn't like. Although the client actually said he did like it, and then we had to go back, which, like I said, we ended up handling. So yeah, that's a glimpse into the logo, right? But all of that got rejected and denied. So the project kept going on, and we had to try to figure out where to take this, and that was quite exciting. It wasn't exciting, but it was exciting once we found the solution. So if I could find where I took my idea was, okay, I don't have a document to kind of illustrate it, but the thinking was, at the end of the day, the most unique mark you'll always get is a word mark. So it's just the words. No one can copy those letters. It's your wording tech hubble, right? And then we still needed some sort of small visual identifier. So this is now the final brand guidelines with the summarized brand strategy. This is what you get. I call it brand playbook, brand Bible. This is just the summarized strategy, like I said. But here's the final logo, and so the client insisted on a different typography, but I had to push in terms of, I just knew that wasn't the right call, that this was the perfect font. The whole visual identity works around it. And we went with this word mark, or you could call it a combination word mark, but this strong H front and center. It sits perfectly in the middle, and the two, the H just naturally is this vertical shape, which vertical is always powerful, strong lines. Horizontal are a bit more about harmony, a bit more calming, but the vertical lines are just strong and powerful, which is what we wanted, which aligned with our brand strategy and aligned with our mood board in terms of being the ruler archetype, right? So it just worked perfectly. The rounded corners matches the rounded kind of quirky corners in the text, and altogether is an extremely unique mark that no one can copy, right? You'll see we've also included some of the purple. And then, yeah, this is now the final document in terms of mapping that out, how it can and can't be used, aligning it. So you'll see the Y, that's Y distance within the mark and Y distance between the H, all makes sense, it's all lined up. Safe space, so when you use it, you shouldn't keep anything in that area. That needs to be safe space and breathing room. There's some more details, how the brand actually looks. Color was a big thing here because these are the final colors, but I just needed to map out and say, you know, you can't mix the purple over the blue. Don't use I don't know what this one is. You don't use the purple on the purple. There's two different types of purple, but etc. And this is always nice. I include, sometimes it's really obvious, but I always include this. Do not, like, don't use drop shadow, don't outline, don't transform, manipulate, or do anything with the logo. Move to the color section. We can see there's a slight variation in purple just when it's over the dark, but you can see ultimately the brand coming together here. We've got this beautiful PT serif here. On the actual PDF that I send, you can download the font there. Man Rope is obviously extremely timeless and clean with a bit of a tech look and feel to it. The typography, hierarchy, and then here we've got some more the extended visual language, which I introduced these swirly patterns and marks, which really hits home in terms of that corporate bank finance feeling, but we dial it down with the use of these chat bubbles, right? Text bubbles, whatever. And then here's some more of the extended lateral. You can see the gradients coming together. Like I said, you build that graphic toolbox. So we've got the gradients playing together, and this is now, so we build the brand guidelines. So we basically curate the brand from scratch, and then we leave you with the brand guidelines that you can give to your designers, and we also onboard and teach your designers how to basically update your entire brand identity. But you can see now, this isn't ruled out. This is more the application of it. But you can see you use the graphic elements of these circles, use the gradients, use the typography, use the graphic elements in terms of these chat bots, use the messaging. You can see everything on the brand coming together here. The big font, you can see the gradients. You can see the gradients again, and then the landing page, how the colors work, how the messaging ties together. Part of the scope was a LinkedIn headers, which you can see here, and was actually the real life one here, which works really beautifully in terms of connection. You can see the connection with the actual people in the chat box, the purple coming through, the beautiful logo, and yeah, that's the final guidelines in terms of, you can see the final brand coming together. Yeah, so that's pretty much the full brand. I want to see what else I can show you, just behind the scenes stuff here. Oh, we also did a pitch deck, but if you have a look here, this is what the entire process was. You know, we initially went this direction. This was too cold, not personality enough. This was too blue. We needed to introduce the serif. Playing around with the different color combinations, like different messaging. We've got different gradients. Like, this is all the behind the scenes offcuts that slowly over time was refined and refined to the final brand. Some more offcuts. These were the rejected directions, loads going on here, different components, and the final pieces of the case study. Here's the pitch deck that we did, was also part of the scope. So you can see it again come to life here, which is really exciting with the typography, the colors, the imagery, the messaging, etc. So yeah, all together, I did say it was going to be a long video, but that is the full creative process, the brand agency process. Let me actually leave you with this page. The full, you know, how we managed to build the brand. Like, he had problems, he had rejection, like, I don't want this off, I want to try this off, so I had to come in and say, certainly, like, I like your idea, but, you know, I know better here in terms of expertise. I mean, you go here, steer the direction, handle revisions, handle the process, build the brand from scratch, literally from this to this completely living and breathing brand. He did leave a great review in terms of 5 stars, quality. You'll see here 4 was just the schedule, because like I said, that's been refined since. It's a lot more streamlined now in terms of quicker for me to get feedback and understand what he wants. But at the end of the day, he's got a very clear idea of exactly who Tech Global is now. He gets web designers on here, and he just gives them that brand guidelines. He knows exactly what he's saying. He knows exactly who he's saying it to, and he's resonating with who he wants to speak with. This is still quite new, so I haven't got exact numbers from him, but you can see his ideal customer persona when it comes on here. They're happy to pay premium. They're more inclined to do business. There's more conversions on his LinkedIn content and websites. He has the full brand strategy. I didn't want to show you the polished version, but feel free to have a look at this on my website. You can see some logo exploration there. And yeah, that is the full project, guys. If you want to see some of my other work, if you go to my website, there's the full case study. You can have a look at the Grow SaaS case study, and there's going to be a new one soon. So glimpse will be up soon. But yeah, that's everything for me. If you've got questions, feel free to let me know. If you want me to have a look at your brand, I'm actually offering out a brand audit. But if not, you can book a call with me and I can ask you some questions and find out more about your brand. But no rush at all. So yeah, have a good day and chat soon.